What's up guys, my name is Guillaume and this episode of Hit the Tone is for the GOAT. Alright guys, I hope you're all doing fantastic today and welcome to this new episode of Hit the Tone on Thommann's Guitars and Basses. I'm sure I've already covered your favorite songs, so go check out the description box down below for a link to the playlist for this series. And if I haven't covered it yet, put it in the comment section and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Basically what I do is try to give you all the tools you need to hit the tone on some legendary songs, which is what I'm doing today for the GOAT, who's been requesting under every single Hit the Tone episode ever that I cover Iron Maiden's The Trooper. It took some time, I know, I'm sorry. I really wanted to do it, but I really wanted to do it right. Also because we shoot these episodes in bulks, sometimes it's just not ideal. And I wanted to give you the real thing. So, Adrian Smith, as far as I could read up, there are very few informations as what was actually used in the studio, so it's kind of, a little bit tricky, but I did gather some things. Adrian Smith was the one who recorded that intro, that legendary riff. And I found out that at the time, he had an Ibanez Destroyer guitar as well as a 61 SG Standard. But because the official video shows him sporting that Ibanez Destroyer, I chose a guitar that is sort of reminiscent of that in the shape and form of that Scream out of the 80s, the 87 Custom by LTD. Absolutely gorgeous guitar. And I think it's sort of reminiscent because he was using a super distortion by DiMarzio in the bridge. And this is the Seymour Duncan equivalent of that. If you have any sort of instrument with a rather high output pickup in the bridge, I'm sure that will do just fine. I could have used the Adrian Smith Jackson signature guitar, obviously, but it's currently out of stock and is, I think, one of the only guitars that we have right now that sports an actual super distortion in the bridge. So this is definitely the closest thing I have to it. This is going to be my guitar for that song. Let's jump onto our amp and pedal selection. Alright, so there's a little bit more information on that online. Adrian Smith said to have used either 4 or 6 JCM 800 stacks in the studio, as well as a Boss delay and an Ibanez TS9 pedal. That's the original rig, as far as I could read up on it. So, I'm going to be using my JCM 800 Lead Series combo. The controls will be on your screen as usual. Obviously, it's trying to emulate about 15 times what it is, but it is what it is. It's the right amp, it's the right gain structure, so I think that'll do just fine. I'm going to use that in collaboration with the JHS Bonsai pedal in the TS9 mode. The controls will also be on your screen somehow. And the Echoplex delay with a very, very short slap back, very low in the mix, but just to fill up some of that space on the intro and mostly on the second part of it, which we'll get to in a moment. But this is my sound. I feel like I'm 14 years old again and I'm loving it. I'm really liking that sound. Obviously there are different ways of going about it. You could use more amps, you could use more power, you could use an actual Ibanez TS9 and the Boss delay. I'm not sure it was DD3, DD5, DD17, not too sure. So there are many other options, which I will link in the description box down below. You'll have everything that I'm using and some more recommendations at different price points if you need some help getting there. But with that out of the way, let's jump onto the final part of the video, which as usual is the most important and is how to play the riff. So for that riff, your guitar is going to be tuned in E standard. Please keep in mind that I also link the tabs in the description box down below if you need some more time practicing it. But otherwise, let's start with our fretting hand. It's a pretty complicated riff. It's a riff that a lot of guitar players, aspiring guitar players, sort of get into really early on because it's so iconic. And it's in itself not so hard to play, but because of the coordination, the harmonies, the precision that you have to work with here, makes it just such an iconic piece of music. But I want to mention something here that is linked to both the fretting and the picking side, is that although the riff is in 4/4, it doesn't start on 1. And I think that's a big part of what creates that sort of tension in the riff. It doesn't go and you start picking that before you go back to the 1. And that tension is really important to nail sort of the feel of that riff. And it's valid for both the fretting and the picking side. We're gonna have a look at this just now. As I said, really pay attention to that first note that needs to drag on a little bit, just long enough so that you, and then you go into it, and all the other ones are phrased the same way except for that first note, which is really important. Be careful on the amount of muting that you put in there because the notes do ring out pretty normally, but because it's such a fast sort of progression, you do want to keep the precision when you go back on the A string and down on the 3rd fret. You don't want to have the E string still ringing. So there's going to be a lot of sort of back and forth with the pull muting, just a little bit of it here and there to make sure that the riff stays clean. And with that said, I think that's it, guys. You have all the tools you need to hit the tone on the Trooper by Iron Maiden. I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope I did some sort of justice to the song, and if so, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on the next ones. Also, let me know in the comments which song you'd like to see here next, and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Now, I wish you all a fantastic week, and I'll see you next Monday in a new episode of Hit the Tone.